140 searchers are combing the woods of Pictou County on the ground with drones and helicopters in the air. Still, after 5 days, there is no sign of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. The search area for the siblings has been expanded. CTV's Hafsa Arif is there again tonight.
As RCMP combed through woods and fields searching for 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, their stepfather Daniel Martel spends every evening conducting his own search.
As soon as I seen they were missing, I jumped right in the vehicle and I did every dirt road and searched every culvert.
The children are thought to have wandered away from their home in Lansdowne Station on Friday morning. Martel believes they were only gone for about 20 minutes before he and their mother noticed they were missing.
The very first day I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt.
Martel says the only concrete clue so far is a boot print found near the backyard of the property. RCMP haven't shared any additional evidence.
The officers and searchers on site are following up on anything that comes up that provides.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens, and they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time, and the next thing we knew, it was quiet. And we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store, everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate
Outside this Nova Scotia home, a reminder of the heartbreaking absence. 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan missing 6 days now. Their stepfather getting an update from RCMP officers. It's news he says he knew was coming, but didn't want to hear. Police are scaling back the search and rescue of the siblings, with hope dwindling.
Based on the experts and the review of the facts, the inclement weather, the time frames, and their age, the likelihood that they're alive right now is very low.
Breaks my heart.
There we go. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody is doing well. Let me know how I sound in chat. Let me just make sure my settings are good. Mic check. Perfect. Oops. Yeah, special thanks to Happy Raptor. Thank you for sending that photo of the blanket. I certainly have never seen that. I don't know how many of you have. So if you have not seen that, we will put that up here in a little bit. It's not the best picture, but it is a picture of the blanket in the tree as it was allegedly found. And I think it tells quite a bit, in my opinion. I think it was planted there. I don't think the kids would have thrown it up there. Not saying it's not possible, but man, it is interesting, and it's a much bigger piece than I was expecting. So very interesting. Yeah, thank you, Happy Raptor. I appreciate that. And again, thank you to everybody. If you can, please hit that like button. Really helps me out. Helps out the algorithm. Of course, we've been covering this case a lot. I did take some time off from this case because I felt like it was just kind of getting a little bit out of hand, where it wasn't really, not a lot of stuff was really coming out. It was more just kind of family members pointing the fingers at each other, and nothing really coming out from the RCMP. But as we speak, there are cadaver dog searches that have been going on. I'm assuming one is going on right now or may have concluded. It would be interesting to know, what has transpired from that. I'm sure if it was something huge, maybe we would hear something. Sensei says mic low. Does anybody else feel like my mic is low? I could turn it up. Just give me 1 second just to make sure. Okay, close that. Mic check, mic check. All right. Hopefully that's better. Let me know in the chat if that's okay. I don't want to ramble on and people not be able to hear me. Yeah, Jacqueline, we'll definitely go over kind of the whole storyline when it comes to the blanket. But if you haven't seen the photo, we will show that. That's part of one of the clues. And then the other one is, if they did walk this particular route, I think there would be some evidence that, in my opinion, would show up, and I'll explain that more when we get to that point. But I always like to just quickly recap the timeline, because I know there's always a few people that may not be as familiar with the case, so I will just do a quick recap with the timeline very quickly. But for anybody that's not familiar, this happened in Nova Scotia in basically late April, May. The children were last seen at least at school on the 29th. They went to school on Tuesday. And then on that Wednesday, they did not have school. And then Thursday and Friday, allegedly, the mother called in due to one of the children allegedly being sick. But there are some red flags to that. And then, of course, that May 2nd on Friday, the kids were heard in the morning. Allegedly, they were both, the stepfather and mother were in bed with their 18-month-year-old Meadow. Lilly and Jack were allegedly playing in the other room. According to Daniel Martel, Lilly kept coming in and out. And then eventually they didn't hear anything. And then, according to Daniel then went out to search for them, and they couldn't find them. And then, I think sometime around 9 a.m. or a little after, they called law enforcement, and then a search was conducted shortly after. So that is the timeline. The search would continue throughout the weekend. I think on day 4 is when they eventually kind of did a press conference saying that they were going to kind of scale back because they hadn't really found anything of substance, although they did obviously find a piece of blanket and 2 boot prints, one that was in the driveway and then one that was on the pipeline trail, which obviously we'll get to a little bit later. But another red flag is the mother on the second day on May 3rd, which was a Saturday, sometime around the afternoon. She abruptly left with the 18-month Meadow and with her mother. Now, I do think this is a red flag, as family members and or friends have came forward. I think especially a friend of Malaya said that she offered to take Meadow because I believe they wanted Meadow out of that area while they conducted these searches. Keep in mind, CPS was kind of slightly involved before all this happened. I think that's also another red flag. The children showed up at different times with black eyes, And one of the stories is Lily got a black eye from a toy Tonka truck. It flipped up and smacked her in the eye. Some people feel like that's kind of suspicious. But yeah, other than that, yes, the mother left, and since then she only did the one interview and has not really been heard since. Then we fast forward, basically 4.5 months later, new documents kind of came out, claiming that they did allegedly pass their polygraph test, which is interesting.
Through bank records, phone data, and GPS locations. Investigators wanted to know the exact whereabouts of Martel and the children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, in the days leading up to the children's disappearance, and cross-reference that information with the statements they gave to police. The documents reveal that as of July 16th, investigators did not believe the case was criminal. By that point, 6 polygraph tests had been done, including on both Brooks Murray and Martel. They were also done on Martel's mother, on Brooks Murray's mother and her partner, and on the children's biological father. Brooks Murray was given a polygraph in what police describe as an effort to eliminate her as a suspect in causing her children's disappearance and possible murder. She passed, and so did Martel.
They've done a full background check, as much as they could possibly do, and I mean, I'm pretty thankful for them to spend the time and spend the resources to try to figure out everything.
So take that for what it is. Although in a newer interview here, I'm not going to play the whole thing because I know we played this last time. I'm just going to play just 2 pieces.
Polygraph exams, but I know that
let me back it up here.
Argos and side-by-sides, they used everything they could.
Tell me about, what do you make at this point of the investigation of what RCMP have been doing or not doing? What's your stance on all of that?
Well, I would like to go in for another whole round of polygraph exams. I mean, that would be, and maybe bring some new people in that are doing the polygraph exams, but I know they're hard at work.
I do find that interesting if people pass, but yet he wants another round of people to come in and people to take another round of polygraph tests. That is interesting. It does make me wonder what those test results were, even though they said they passed. Curious, if it wasn't past flying colors, I don't know why else you would want more polygraph tests done. Unless he's meaning like he wants other people to be polygraphed. I'm 100% on that, but kind of sounds like he wants everybody that was polygraphed to have a new team come in and polygraph them, which is odd. The other thing is he says he's 100% sure with the cadaver dogs that are being brought in or have been brought in as we speak, that they're not going to find anything, which is interesting. And then the other only thing from this interview, obviously, is the fact that he uses the kids in past tense, which, in my opinion, is a red flag.
Typing or using AI for pictures.
I mean, we're coming up on, is it coming up?
There's a lot of kids in the area I see, and it's sad. It's not just sad for Jack and Lily, but it's sad for everybody who knew Jack and Lily. They had friends, they went to school, and it's just, they had teachers that seen them every day, and it's just hard on everybody.
I know we ask you this every.
They had friends, they had teachers. What was the other one? There was like three in a row that he did with past tense.
Sad for Jack and Lily, but it's sad for everybody who knew Jack and Lily.
Who knew Jack and Lily, so past tense.
They had friends, they
had friends, past tense.
Went to school, and it's just, they had teachers that.
And you can tell that he looks like he kind of stopped there, almost like he knew that he might have slipped up by using past tense. But then again, maybe it's nerves, got to look at it at all angles. Again, if it was Daniel versus the mother, I'm more suspicious of the mother. just because what we're going to talk about here in a bit, although I do think they're both, both suspicious, but if it was one or the other, I would pick the mother as the bigger candidate because she's the one that's left. I can't see a mother why she would leave. I understand, she's got that Meadow, the 18-month daughter. But again, people offered to, take care of Meadow, for a weekend or whatever while they deal with the stuff. So I, you know, but yeah.
Seeing them every day, and it's just hard on everybody.
I know we ask you this every single time, but why do you keep doing it?
For Jack and Lily.
Me says
I don't do this for
Daniel. And I'll be honest, you got to give it credit to Daniel. Like, he is the one still out there doing interviews, even though he knows, and he even says at just about every other interview, like, I know I'm getting raked over the coals. Every word I say is being analyzed, and yet he's still doing these. So, I mean, you have to at least give him credit that he's still out there, doing these interviews. He doesn't have to. So I take that for what it is. So now let's move on to more recent updates. So obviously Cadaver dogs were brought in. They started, I think, if I misquote this, please correct me in chat. I think they started 2 days ago. Let's see, today's the 24th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they started on either the 21st or the 22nd. And it's been going on every day since. Now, obviously, Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show, obviously he's been speaking with Daniel and Janie, the mother of Daniel Martel, and getting some inside information and kind of getting an idea of where these searches are conducted. It doesn't surprise me. It sounds like they did a search, and I'm not sure which order they did, but they did a search where the blanket was found, a search near the home or around the home, and I'm assuming a search at the boot prints. Now, I don't know which in order they've done those and which ones have been done and haven't. If you know in chat, please let me know. But they are conducting those as we speak, so it'd be interesting. I mean, in some ways, if they are out there, I do hope that they are found, but again, huge shout out to Daniel from Drunk Turkey Show, because, he's getting some inside information, which is interesting. But this is the location of where that blanket was found, and I will show. Sandy says, don't care for DT. DT is a great guy. Now, you got to keep in mind, he's former law enforcement, so I think my dealings with, former law enforcement, they kind of back up their own in a way. And I think it's good to see other people's viewpoint, right? I know he kind of feels that they likely wandered off based off the polygraph test and stuff like that. And I think that's great. It's always good to always look at the other person's point of view and not just get stuck on like one theory or one angle, just my opinion. I think it's always good to kind of, hear what other people's side of view, which may put a kink in your theory, and there's a reason why there's a kink, because maybe a piece of your theory is wrong, and so now because you're looking at it from a different view, now it kind of makes you need to kind of reorganize that theory to more solidify it. But I appreciate Drunk Turkey Show and his viewpoints, even though I disagree. I think this is leans more towards kind of foul play abduction. I do think the kids are alive. I'm praying they are. I just think they got moved because they were afraid that they were going to take the kids away. But that's just obviously my opinion. Angel of Light, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. God bless. And I see a bunch of my wonderful mods and Jazz. Michelle, good to see you. I really appreciate everybody. We almost got 400 people in here. Thank you guys so much. We will show the blanket here in a bit if you haven't seen it. I just want to, I don't know, do you guys want to see the blanket first and then we'll kind of, well, actually, yeah, we'll get to the blanket here in just a second.
We're knocking.
Give me a second. Okay, so I know I played this in the last live. I'm not going to play a lot of this, but I was watching this back and it kind of got me thinking because, you know, one of the theories, and it is kind of not even just Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show's theory, but, you know, if you were just to follow the evidence, you know, the natural path that these kids kind of took would have been, you know, something. Oh, and I just had the coordinates and now it's okay, let me do this again. Sorry guys. There we go. Wait, why did, oh no, okay, let's do this. Yeah, that's better. So let's just say in theory that the kids did walk this way, because remember, one of the big pieces of evidence was the blanket, and we're going to look at that in a bit, and then the boot print, right? So in theory, let's say if that was all the kids, from the kids, then the main theory would be is they likely just walked the road, right? And what I find interesting is if you look at the road in front of the house, you know, it's a normal paved road, this 289 here. But when you get onto, well, this isn't the road, but, oh, and that's the house right there. Okay, so it would be this way. I'm not going to go all the way. But when you get on Lansdowne Road, it is not your regular, it's going to let me do it. It's not your regular paved road. It is now more of kind of a, you know, gravel road, which if the kids were walking up this road, which again, what would be the distance from just this? Let me see if I can move this. Yeah. So this here is just 1.5 kilometers, which I would think is about a mile, a little less than a mile, I think, till you get to the pipeline. But that's a 15-minute walk. Yeah, it's probably about a little over a half mile. Again, I work with miles, not kilometers, so please, if I'm wrong on that, please correct me in chat. But I think that's somewhere to about half a mile, maybe a little bit more with the 1.2. But if you look at this video, so they're on that road, right?
That would be in back of my place. And if you can see that bare spot, that is the train tracks.
I'm not going to play this whole video because I know you're going to watch this already.
This is the area that you would get where they were out or not out.
But one of the things I noticed...
This leads me to believe that...
Oh, and this is a good...
RCMP was today
to go back to this.
with their dogs back.
Let's see if I can hear her.
So this is the ATV area. This is where...
Yeah, this is a great video.
She says that...
What do you guys notice as she's walking up to the edge of this? Now, she's on the road, but what do you think this is in chat? I mean, if you don't know, I mean, it's probably pretty self-explanatory, but not everybody probably, you know, if you're more in an urban area.
Back of my place.
There it is.
Seen this, but this is a gravel road. Now, obviously, you know, where the cars have driven, you know, most of that's impacted, right? And I'm sure if somebody's walking, especially like in the middle of the road, it's probably not going to leave. Somebody else is saying my mic is low, but nobody else is saying that. I can try to turn it up a little bit louder. I don't want to blow people's eardrums. Mic check. Okay, 1 second. Is this gain working? Mic check. Mic check. Okay, hopefully that... Okay. Everyone else says they can hear me. Mic is good. Maybe... The video at the beginning, Lil, Shirley, yeah, was probably loud, so I do apologize. So you probably turned it down. Maybe just turn it back up now. Give me 1 second. Make sure... Okay, I think what happened is... I think many people probably turned down while I had the intro on. Maybe see if you can turn up the volume. I am just going to turn up the gain, I guess. Mic check. Okay, that is... If that is not loud enough, I don't know what is. So, okay. All right, I turned it up. It is definitely up for sure. I can see it go to the red. So, sorry if we're getting sidetracked. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is keep in mind, this is a half a mile, give or take, of road that if the kids allegedly walked on. Now, I'd imagine they're not going to be walking in the middle of the road, right?
Is a mile
Now,
and a half.
look at this road. Now, obviously, where the car is driven, you know, it's more compact, right? Mike is better now. Okay. All right. I appreciate that, and I apologize. I will keep that setting up, so I appreciate that, and I'm sorry you couldn't hear me earlier. But what I'm trying to say is the kids are obviously, they're probably not going to be walking in the middle of the road, right? But they're going to be walking on the sides. And if you look on the sides, it's
mile and a half. That's
it's
not too
much
far.
more
And for those that think
loose gravel. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to find a boot print. You know, you're just going to find perfect tracks in these loose gravel, right? Especially with kids that don't weigh very much with boots. But you know how kids walk. They, you know, sometimes they kind of drag their feet. And then, you know, kids with their attention span might, you know, if they're walking up this road or whatever, they would probably spot something and go run off for a second and come back. And I would think that there would be quite a bit of disturbance for a half a mile, give or take. Maybe not, you know, consistently. Let me know what you think in chat. Maybe you think I'm wrong. But I would think, look at this gravel. I mean, this is kind of what it's like on the sides of the road, right? And you can even see the tracks and stuff. And obviously, this is not the best quality. It'd be interesting if we had like 4K. I wouldn't be surprised if Janie, whoever's filming, walked and then turned around and then zoomed down. You wouldn't see a little bit of disturbance in the gravel, right? Because this is loose gravel. Not to say, you know, you're going to have like a perfect boot impression, right? But I would think that, you know, if they were walking up this, you would have like occasional disturbances along the way. Probably not consistent. Well, I guess it depends on what you consider consistent, but I would think there would be some kind of signs. And again, going back to how kids kind of shuffle their feet, drag along, like to kick things. I can't imagine them not kind of seeing disturbances along the way. Let me know what you think in chat. Maybe you think I'm wrong. But I don't think this place gets very much traffic. It's in the middle of nowhere. And again, I don't think they'd be walking in the middle of the road, but when you walk on the side of this road, I mean, you can hear when Janie is walking and even Daniel, you can hear the crunch, you know, which means that this gravel is getting displaced in some way or shape or form.
But if Daniel was coming in, this went up where and so I got another, and still look at the reports to, and this is, I think, what is their blanket, but I threw it away. And I think that said it was wrong. And that's not necessarily the case. And he said, yeah, it was it out here, right? If he wanted to say, no, that's not theirs, a hook didn't do something, right? But the most logical explanation for anybody is that, oh, they got
Yeah,
lost in the woods.
I mean,
they got lost in the woods. Don't look.
But would they walk down the middle of the road? Not saying they couldn't, right? But eventually they're going to have to veer off to wherever, because obviously if they planted the blanket, then this particular road, I think this is where the blanket would be found. So no matter what, they're going to go off onto this, alleged gravel road. And I just cannot see how there would be some kind of disturbance. Again, I wouldn't think there would be, a perfect boot print, but I would think there would be some kind of disturbance to it.
And then, etc. Well, anyways,
I don't think so either.
To do something where he said, you wouldn't be screaming out there that you think so. It's.
Now, if you can look from the ground here to here.
I mean, keep in mind they are just kids, and I
found.
don't, maybe they're taught not to walk in the middle of the road. That's what I'm kind of going with. I just, because again, where it's packed is in the middle of the road. I would think they would stick to the sides. But again, I don't know.
It's right there.
Yeah, I don't think they would have either. But I mean, that gravel is very loose.
See, if you're coming from this direction, you see where the street is back.
And again, here's just more pictures.
There's a great box.
And even in the middle, again, if you've been kind of down these roads, it's not even the entire middle road, right? There's kind of like areas where people, where their tires are going over, and then there'll be even patches, even in the middle of the road, that are loose gravel, such as this. If she were to pan to the left, you would see kind of like where the tires have been on either side, and then you would kind of see where obviously the tires are not really
right there
trafficked as heavily. So
it's right in this. You see this X, like where this X looking thing? That's the gray box she's talking about, right through there.
Okay, so let's move on to the photo here and get your guys' opinion.
Entire drive, probably also at the pointing, and Daniel actually gets really close and shows me exactly which limb is going to allow people to block. So it's.
Man, you can hear that. I've been on those roads so many times, and
see, there's another road there. There's a few different roads. That's loud. I'm gonna mute it so I can talk over it. As far, I believe I'd say 80%. Most likely, I'm gonna say
okay.
That one right there.
So that's the tree that the blanket was found. So
6 feet in the air, draped over the branch.
Let's show the blanket first, and then let's go over the context of it, and then we'll look at it a little bit closer as well. So there's the blanket. If you haven't seen it, of course, credit to Crime and Shame. I'm grateful that they got this photo. I do wish they would have chosen their watermarks in a different spot. But I'm still grateful that they were able to get it. If you know me, I'm not big on watermarks. I understand it. Again, they credit to them. They got sources. They have to build relationships. So I do not blame them for putting these kind of watermarks on them. At the same time, it's like right on the blanket. In multiple spots, but look at that. That's a fairly big piece of blanket. Much bigger than I thought it was. And remember, it was like draped, almost wrapped around. I have no idea what this thing is. I don't know if anybody in the comments could explain, like, I have no idea what this little, like, hook weird thing is. Everything else looks exactly like an used LOL blanket. I can even kind of see the, like, dotted design. So I'm pretty sure this is legit, and I will kind of overlay, like, it's kind of hard to overlay exactly the spot, but I kind of show, like, you know, it versus, but look, I mean, look how it's, like, hidden just in the branches, like, you know, all these, you know, and remember, this is allegedly, like, kind of 6 feet up in the air. I just do not see, not saying it's not impossible, but I just cannot see these kids throwing that up there, in my opinion. And I'll kind of zoom in here for you guys. Daniel says RP, in your opinion. Yeah. Obviously, we have to wait until they actually say that, but I mean, yeah, if I saw that, and, you know, I'd be very sus. And then keep in mind, it's Malay and her family or friends that found it. Very suspicious. I know zooming in doesn't really help the quality. I apologize. That's the only thing about these watermarks. If they weren't there, I would try to, like, maybe run an AI and see if I could kind of clean it up. I don't know how much it would, but again, I'm still grateful that, you know, we at least have, you know, context, but you can see how it's just, it's pretty big, right? And it's almost like deliberately, like, wrapped. It doesn't just feel like it's just been thrown. It feels like it's kind of just, like, deliberately kind of placed up there. Such a weird fashion. Sharon says it looks like it's been cut, not torn. And maybe that could be the case. I mean, that's the kind of the theory. And we'll look at that compared to the video as well. Yeah, I've heard some speculation about, you know, them thinking they're out in the bay, but I've heard some decent arguments to that, saying, like, you know, if they tried to ditch him out to the beach, like out in the bay, like they would have to take, like, a boat and go out and do that. They wouldn't just be able to throw the body or bodies, like, on the beach, you know, because they would just float right back, right? I think they would have to be, like, you know, anchored down, you know, in some fashion. So, not saying that couldn't happen, but I don't know if I believe that. But again, you know, when it comes to true crime, the damnedest, weirdest things do happen. So here is him coming over to look at this. And I kind of overlay the blanket, and I'll move it as well. But, you know, it was deep in there. Like, it's, you know, of course, it's too bad this photo, we don't have, like, a photo that's a little bit further back as well. I'm almost assuming this, because of the bad quality, I'm almost wondering if this photo was taken further back and then, like, they zoomed it in, and that's why the quality is not the best. That would be my guess. But that's Daniel saying, yeah, it's up about 6 feet. But again, that's still fairly hidden. Not to say you can't see, like, the top part very well. I don't know. Oh, I need to move this over a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. You guys can get the full. And I think I move it over to the left here in just a second to kind of get a better. Deborah says, yeah, it's been placed. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't either until thanks to Happy Raptor for sending this out. I truly appreciate that. We have such a amazing community, but this looks more kind of like a good lineup of how kind of like you can kind of see it somewhere up in here. I think this is the tree. And it was somewhere kind of like up in here somewhere, or maybe here, draped over. But then when you look at the angle and how far back it was, it's just weird that they were able, not to say it's not impossible for them to find it, but it's a little sus that Mama and the friends, found it. Not saying that they were all in on it, it could have been just the mother and, she was with friends and they came across it. Yeah, that's what I've always wondered too is, was this kind of to mark something, and I would say, well, maybe they forgot about it, but then it's like, that kind of seems silly. So let's quickly go over what the narrative around the blanket for anybody that's not up to date on that. Give me 1 second. That's not the right one. Why does it do that to me? Bear with me here. No, this isn't the right one. Where is my... bookmark tabs? Oh, okay, cool. Yes, this one here. Is this the one? Okay. So just to give a little backstory on the blanket, and then we'll get
Daniel
to the blueprint.
Martell, the stepfather of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, explained that the piece of the pink...
Oh, hold on. Jumping ahead here. We do got some more here, but let's just go over, because I also have some backstory that we learned thanks to Daniel from that Drunk Turkey show. Okay. On Wednesday, okay, so this is interesting. I think I missed this. On Wednesday, April 30th, all five, including Jack and Lily's babysitter, went to Brooke Murray's grandmother's house to do laundry at 2 p.m. More than an hour later, Malaya took the baby with her to get a license plate for her car. Martell stayed at the grandmother's house. Now, there's a little bit more to the laundry story, so let me skip ahead here. And this actually came from Daniel, the Drunk Turkey podcast. So, because he's been speaking with Daniel and Janie, his mother. Janie claimed that Malaya had no clothing of her own in the load of laundry they did Wednesday afternoon. It was all Jack and Lily's clothing. Janie said there was 6 bags of Jack's and Lily's clothing. When Malaya was running the laundry, Daniel waited in the car. Now, that could be nothing, and that's just them doing laundry. But at the same time, some people speculate, well, that's her getting, clothes ready for the kids, if they were moved, that morning of Friday, May 2nd. So that is interesting. let me know what you think in chat, but that is kind of odd. If that isn't like their normal way of doing laundry. And I feel like there's one other piece that I recall reading. Oh, there was also speculation that these bags may have also included, after the laundry, that they may have had like some toys of the kids. But my question would be, what did RCMP find? Like, were they missing their clothing? Were they missing, days worth of clothing? I guess would be the, counter argument to this, theory that she was getting clothing ready for them to be removed from the property. That would be interesting to know. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, Mariska. So if anybody doesn't know, big news yesterday. Well, not really big news, but people are trying to make it out as big news. Daniel's car did get towed. Apparently it's a car that he got after the children were missing. The story goes, I believe he didn't register something in time, in the allotted time, maybe within a month or something, and that because of that, the vehicle got towed. But either way, especially if this is a vehicle that he got after they went missing, not to say he couldn't hide evidence, try to get rid of evidence after the fact, but it sounds like it was more of a nothing burger. But I'm glad you bring that up, Mariska. Yeah, that's a great question. That is a good question. Why didn't they see that? And how did the mother see that? So that would be the question. What was the other thing I was going to jump over to? Let me play this. I do got some more, but I just want to play this real quick while I just get caught up in chat real quick. Which is, I think...
What's it been like?
The documents also showed that Malaya and Daniel's polygraph tests were found to have been truthful, and that at that time police did not believe his sister found this blanket.
Okay, right.
In other stories we've reported on. And the key thing about this pink blanket is that it was found a kilometer from the trailer where Jack and Lily disappeared from, and it's perhaps the only physical clue in the case. So what's interesting is that Malaya's sister found this blanket along with 2 other family members the day the children were reported missing in the afternoon. And Daniel...
Now, apparently this was found around, if I recall, they said it was around 4 p.m. Remember, law enforcement's called a little after 9. So this probably started showing up shortly after. Probably search parties were already starting to get out there at 10. I'm sure as the hours went on, more and more agencies were out there showing up to help. But yeah, that is interesting that, they had been out there searching for at least, 4 to 5 hours. Now again, God knows where they started their search. And, so I could see both ways that, if they weren't really focused on this street at the moment, and they were focused more in the immediate vicinity, that they could have overlooked the blankets. But then again, if there was searchers in that area and missed it, then yeah, that would definitely be a red flag. And Jazz gifting a Mob Crew membership. God bless you. I really appreciate the support, and Jazz, thank you so much. Let me just get caught up on these real quick. Angel of Light, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Hobo's Life, thank you for all you do, Chris and mods. Thank you, Hobo's Life, for 8 months. That's so awesome. Jennifer, good to see a member for 40 months. Top member and mod. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Hobo's Life gifting a mob crew membership. Thank you so much. Cowgal renewing membership for 2 months. That's awesome. And Jazz gifting another membership. That is so awesome. God bless you guys. Okay. Oh, I know what I got a little sidetracked. So just a little bit more on the blanket. For anybody that doesn't know, okay, so they had found it around 4 p.m. According to the documents, a police dog walked for about 1 kilometer in the area and did not pick up a scent. Another piece of the blanket was seized from a garbage bag in a bin at the end of the family's driveway. Martell says it's the same blanket has been ripped apart. This was Lily's LOL doll blanket that she had used sometimes to drag around with her, but decided she no longer wanted. So they ended up using it to stop a draft from a door. And then coincidentally, a week before they went missing, this thing got thrown in the garbage, but Daniel had already ripped a piece off. So, and then that piece that he ripped off ended up in the tree. So that is kind of interesting. So yeah. Going back, let's just look at now the overall. So here's the photo again for anybody that's missed it, came in late. Caroline says, I hereby speculate the blanket has nothing to do with the case. I guess it depends on what you mean. It doesn't relate to the case. I speculate it's like a red herring, right? I mean, because again, I've asked this multiple times the last 3 shows or last 2 shows. What would be a rational explanation for how that thing got in there like that? I cannot see the wind blowing that damn thing. That thing looks, although it's a piece of blanket, that thing looks like it's big enough that I cannot see the wind blowing that thing, 6 feet in the air unless they had a hurricane or something. And then the fact that it's on the same side as where the boot print would be found, further up the road. Again, it's a 50-50 chance, but still, I do find that to be more or less of a coincidence than a potential clue. Man, I wish we really had a better photo of that, but I am grateful that we have at least something. So here is an overview
around a door in their trailer. Malahia
of where everything's at. Of course, the home is located here where they had found Lily's boot print, 11 size, in the driveway. They took that impression. And as they continued the search, as they went more northwest, they would eventually come across another boot print. And what I find very interesting is apparently, according to this article, they took a cast of the boot print found at the driveway and they matched it up with the casting from the pipeline trail. And according to this, it was a match. So, I mean, again, there's always that possibility they could have wandered off that way. But to me, the biggest thing is the fact that you got Daniel pointing the finger at the mother. Mother, for the most part, being kind of silent. But, yeah. What did they take to pass the polygraph? I just don't buy it. Yeah, I would like to see, more of the actual results, not the redacted. They said they passed, but, what was the scores? If anybody hasn't seen, let's see, polygraph scores. Let's see. Oh, not like that. Where's the ones with the numbers on them? Okay, here's a good example. Let's see. God, that's not the biggest photo, is it? Yikes. We could do better. We can work with this. We can work with this. Give me 1 second here. Screenshot. Boom. 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 Screenshot. 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 Where are you? Where are you? Right here. So these are kind of what they do, because they'll take multiple tests. I think I explained this in my last slide. They'll give you like 10 to 20 questions, and you know the questions in advance, and mixed in with those questions will be questions about the case, and then the other questions will be like, are you sitting in a chair? Is, the grass pink? A false question. And so they have those mixed in. And so they'll do an order of a round of those questions in a particular order. And the person that's doing the polygraph knows in advance what the questions are. They even sometimes kind of help to come up with the questions. And then they do that. And then they switch up the questions. And then they do them again. And I've noticed at the very least they try to do it at least 3 times. I know sometimes they'll do even more to get a better baseline. Here you can see +7, +8, +4, +3. Those are obviously positive. That means this person's telling the truth. But once you get into the lower numbers, or you can get into negative numbers, which obviously if you get into negative numbers, that means you are likely not telling the truth. And so, you could get some +1s, a 0, and a ±. And they usually will try to average out from the 3 tests and do like a total, like they average the total of the 3, and that's what comes out. So you could have like 2 inconclusives and then 1 where they like barely passed, and then they could say, well, hey, we passed because we got a +1, but although the other ones were zeros. So again, it would be interesting to see like the actual test scores. I don't know if we'll see those or not. Caroline says, yeah, and Steve from former law enforcement we used to have on this channel, he was never a big fan of lie detectors, so take that for what you will. Deanna, you took a polygraph for employment? Oh my gosh, what are you working with? FBI or something? Oh, interesting. So I will definitely recap a little bit, but I just want to go over one thing before we kind of recap everything. I'll leave this photo up here so you guys can see it. I wonder, but that is the blanket there. And again, if you can, please hit that like button. It does help. Help this channel out. Heather says that blanket looks like synthetic materials that might not fade that quickly. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, because you would think if that blanket had been out there for a while, especially if it, if it did get sunlight, if anybody's seen what sun will do to, clothing or fabric, it does weather it, it does start to kind of weather it out. I know clothing definitely starts to turn, more dark brown, as it's been exposed to the elements for a long while. Anybody have an idea of what this little hook thing is at the bottom? I mean, it could just be like a visual anomaly where it's just taken at such a weird angle that it looks. I'm trying to find the photo here where I can just zoom in. Oh, there it is. Close that. Let me know what you think about this blanket, but yeah, this is so weird. Like this part here. Everything else, it looks exactly like a piece of blanket. And you can even see kind of like the dots and the design that I do recall seeing some LOL blankets that have that. I'm sure we could probably find a blanket that matches this kind of type of, we've got this unique red, I don't know if it's a border, but, it definitely is on the edge here. Be curious. Anybody know in chat what that could be? So one last thing before, and I'm gonna read chat for a little bit, and then recap everything just in case for those that kind of came in late. So for the most of the people that have been with this channel, know we cover true crime. I try to help the missing as much as I can. But I have suffered from, stomach issues for quite a bit, and it's actually just put me out, especially a good portion of this summer, really. And my content has almost gone to like nil. I mean, I was doing basically one live a week and really just bedridden. And I'm not trying to, say feel sorry for me or anything, but usually with YouTube I'm really good. It's kind of one of those things when you have this kind of profession that you have highs and lows, but usually you make up for when you have your highs. When you have a low, it kind of evens out. And I'm not much of a big money spender. I just pay my bills and maybe order Hulu or Netflix on occasion, but long story short, as a lot of you have been with me, know that my stomach issues, were really bad, mainly during the summertime. And I missed a lot of shows. And it's kind of eventually have now come to the point where it's just kind of bit me in the ass. Now I'll be honest, my health has gotten better. I'm not saying I'm like cured or anything. You may notice I've been doing lives much more recently, more content's coming out, and I'm hoping to continue that. But unfortunately, along with that, YouTube has changed its kind of algorithm and notification. Sorry to get on a little bit of a sidetrack here, but if anybody's wondering why you're probably not getting notifications, not for my channel, but maybe other channels that you follow, apparently they've changed it. So even if you're like got the notifications and are all turned on, apparently this is the rumor. I think people are still trying to figure this out, but the rumor is that people need to like watch your videos like a certain amount of times in a row to keep up with those, getting those notifications, which it kind of sucks in a way. Which means you've got to be constantly putting stuff out to keep people engaged. And again, when you stop, going live and you're only doing a live once a week and not, every other day or every day, you're going to start to lose your audience, and it's no fault to them. They're just, looking for content. So long story short, I'm just going to be honest, I am not in the best financial situation right now. Just because it's just it's just been that perfect storm. So if you guys would like to help me out, it's something that I'll post on my community page. I could put it in the chat if you guys would like, but I did start a small GoFundMe. It's just to me. It's just to help out for the bills. It's kind of embarrassing to ask for, but it's just kind of at the point where I'm like, I've just kind of been pinned in the corner, and it's just part of life. But if you guys would like to help out, you can. I don't want anybody donating that can't afford it, but it'll be there. If you guys would like to donate, I'll put it once in the chat, and we'll move on, and I'll put it in my community post. I'm not somebody that likes to ask money. You guys follow my channel. I don't beg for donations in the chat. I feel like if people donate, via chat or something, then, so be it. But, yeah, so that's kind of where I am at. But if you guys would like to help out, there is the link to that, if the mods want to copy that. But I do appreciate the ones that could help out, but I do apologize for even asking, and it is embarrassing, but it is just kind of one of those things that it's part of life, but it sucks because I am feeling better, but just unfortunately with YouTube changing its algorithm and everything, it has just been so hard to kind of get back on my feet. I am getting there, but it's... right now I've just kind of dug myself into a hole because I missed months of a lot of content that could have been made, and it sucks. So there's the link. If you do donate, I will make sure I thank people in the upcoming lives. And I cannot thank everybody enough. Just being here and supporting me is huge, but if you can, that's awesome. If you can't, don't feel bad. Not everybody's in the best financial situation. With that said, I will quickly just do a recap if you missed earlier. So cadaver dogs are out there. Actually, let's look real quick. That's the one thing I wanted to look is thanks to Daniel, which I think he'll be going live. Does anybody know if he goes live, he'll be going live at the hour. Let's see if he's posted something recently, because clearly he's got some connections here. I don't see him posting a live for today. Not to say it's not there. Maybe I'll go to his YouTube channel. But he's clearly talking with Daniel and his mother Janie. And if you're just wondering what's the situation with the cadaver dogs, they have been searching certain areas. Obviously, I think that's been kind of kept confidential because obviously we don't want people out there, looky-loos, YouTubers, whatever, reporters, because people go out there, wearing like cologne or perfume, whatever, and they got these cadaver dogs out there that could contaminate what these cadaver dogs are doing. And obviously it probably took a lot to get these dogs out there. So, we do not want to, especially if the children are out there somewhere, we don't want that to impede their progress. So huge shout out to Daniel for that. I know people don't, not everybody agrees with Daniel's stance on this case, but you can't blame them, and it's good to always hear the other side, as I mentioned earlier in the show, because it does give you pause to think about things you might not have thought about. I still think there's more evidence to lead towards some kind of abduction, foul play, and I'm kind of curious because he is in contact with Daniel clearly, and it's been shown that Daniel has been pretty vocal that like even here, here's Daniel Martell, he's been on, that Crime and Shame, shout out to them. Here's him saying forensics on the blanket is a key piece. That's interesting, if true. But we know he's been very vocal about pointing the finger at the mother, more or less, that she knows something or has. I do have PayPal as well, me and you. I do. But it's just one other way. Thank you, and yes, that is so sweet of you. I appreciate that. And I promise you, if you did donate, I will make sure to give you a shout out in the next live. But Deanna says, I've watched you for over a year. I've never hear you ask for money. Oh, that is so sweet. Yeah, the only other time I've ever asked for money is to help for a search, and that was for gas money, and that was it. But yeah, I figure if people donate through chat, that is because, they felt like my content was worth their time, but I'm not going to, beg, hey, why aren't you guys donating? That is not my, modus operandi. All right, so let's read chat for a little bit, and then finish up, make sure I missed anything. Prayers for you, Chris. I appreciate that. And with the amazing community we have, I think, we'll get through this. Is it known the two boot prints were both left or right or one of each? That's such a great question, Piper. And it's not clear. It sounds like at least the one in the driveway is just one. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong in chat, but I'm pretty sure at the very least the one in the driveway is just one. Because I think that even the way they mention it, let me go back to that. Right, wait. Yeah, because they don't use plural. They don't use plural. It's just a casting of a boot print, not boot prints. Now, obviously, that could just be a typo, but that's one thing that's been. And then Lily's boot print was confirmed to be a size 11, consistent with the boot print. So again, you have two spots where they say boot print and not prints. So it does sound like it's more leaned towards, it's a singular foot impression. Again, which it would be interesting to see that exact spot. But I don't know. Last thing, like I said, if they walk this, looking at that road, not to say that, you're going to see footprints, even if they walked on this gravel road every step of the way. But, I haven't had kids of myself, but, I babysat kids, and you know how they like to shuffle their feet and then get sidetracked, distracted. And you would think there would, with this kilometer of road that is, kind of gravel, that there would be some kind of disturbance that they could attribute to the kids. I mean, not saying it, it couldn't have been contaminated by other searchers walking that just didn't see it, but I would think there, if they did walk this, there would have had to have been at least something there that they could have used. But that's just my speculation, of course. I could be completely wrong, but no, Sandy says the report said 2 to 3 feet off the ground. Well, according to Daniel and Janie, they said 6 feet off the ground. And even the ribbons that are left there, if you look at them, even just the ribbons, they're up pretty high, right? Which I think this is connected to the tree. It's just not the exact branch they were on. So even the ribbons, I mean, that's definitely, it's tough to say, but I would say that's probably at least 3.5, 4 feet off the ground. just where those ribbons
Now,
are
if
at.
you can look, if you can look from the ground,
And I think that's why she's saying this.
To here is where the blanket was found on that frame.
And that looks like she's lifting it up, her phone almost up to head level. You know, I'm not sure how tall Janie is, but, you know, if she's 5 feet, you know, that's easily 5 feet off the ground, at least where the ribbons are. Oh, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I mean, my stomach has been doing better, and that's, if you notice, I've been doing lives more. I just did a video. Sadly, it didn't do very well at all. It actually bombed. That's another thing, you know, when you're not doing YouTube constantly, you get punished very quickly. YouTube is, you know, kind of a thing. You got to keep going, and if you stop, you know, YouTube will kind of, I wouldn't say leave you in the dust, but you have to then start to grind, you know, your way back onto the algorithm's favor. So it's not easy. And Jazz, thank you again. I think you sent two $20 super chats. Thank you so much. God bless you. Another thing, one more thing. Last thing. Oh, I did get a PayPal. Okay. Thank you to Daniela, I think, right? Yeah. Daniela. Thank you so much for the PayPal. God bless. One more thing before you guys go. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I wonder if I used some, you know, because it was involving the Charlie Kirk assassination. I was trying to do some wild theories. Thought it'd be interesting to just kind of cover some of those, even though I still think Tyler, you know, I don't get off track, but yeah, I do wonder if maybe I used some keywords that YouTube algorithm doesn't like. I don't know. One last thing. We're going to, it's going to be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I'm not sure. I'm hoping to kind of, because I know more and more people are starting to tune back in, because obviously, as you guys notice, if you show up for my lives, you'll probably start to get notifications like you used to, because, you know, if they changed it. Of course, we'll do something with Sebastian as well, always keeping him in mind. But the Daniel Robinson case, and I'm telling you guys, let me give you just a sneak peek. Give me 1 second. I promise you guys, this is wild. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, Daniel Robinson, the geologist who went missing, sorry, I'm multitasking. In June of 2021, I think it was June 23rd. Let me see if this is the one here. If the picture will show up. Okay, let me see if I can see if I can find that one that was really. Where's that one that was really, really good? They're all good, but bear with me. I promise you this will be worth it. Oh, man, we've exchanged so many messages. Oh, maybe this is. Oh, this is. No. Oh. Which one would it be? Okay, maybe I'll just pull this one up. Okay, so let me go to sent. This'll be easier. Okay, sent. Here we go. Here we go. I think this is... Sorry, guys. I'm trying to pull this up. Oh, do I actually have that? Wait, actually, I might even just have this. Hold on. Oh, no, it's this one. Anyway, okay. I don't want to waste your guys' time. So, if you guys don't know, he went missing, but they recorded a bunch of mileage on his vehicle. Long story short, they had a timeline, right, before he crashed his vehicle, allegedly. And there's a bunch of timestamps from when he left, and it was recording the mileage, right? And at the very end, when he had crashed his vehicle, there was this discrepancy of 11 miles. Like, there was 11 more miles after the crash. Now, the dealership claimed that, well, this is, this is kind of an anomaly that happens. It's not out of the ordinary to have extra mileage that's off from the actual data or whatever. But what this guy had sent me is super interesting. And it basically kind of shows that what they're recording is I don't know if anybody in the chat knows, but let me pull this up when I'm talking about it so you guys know who I'm talking about. This guy here. This is Daniel Robinson. And this is a case that's baffled a lot of people. And his father's out there searching. I think he just did a live yesterday. But what's interesting is if anybody has like that insurance where you either have the device or just the app, and when you start your car, it records the mileage. So that way they're always kept up to date on the mileage and how much you're driving. Well, with this, it appears that they were using the mileage and claiming that the mileage was stop times, not start times. Now, I know this is confusing. I promise you, when we get to the live show about this, it'll be very fascinating. But long story short is I had a guy send me a bunch of stuff and show me a theory that his sound that they are misinterpreting this data as stop times when the mileage is recorded, and that really these are start time mileages. Because if you think about it, when you turn on your vehicle, that's when your engine kicks up and that's when everything's being registered. And if you had one of those things, you would get, the information of your mileage would get sent to, if you've got one of those things with like State Farm or whatever, where it's recording the mileage, it would make sense that it's when you turn on your vehicle, that's when the computer's kicking on. That's when everything, is being sent out. Well, they're trying to say that, it appears like they're using these, the mileage as stop times. But when you switch it to start times, and I promise you, I know this is confusing. I wish I had the dates and mileage. I just can't find it in the plethora of data I've been sent. But long story short, allegedly this car crashed at 12:54 p.m. He was last seen at 9 a.m. leaving the job site, 9:15. Now, they say that at 12:54 there was a certain mileage that was read out, and they say that's the stop time. But according to this theory, if that is the mileage was the start time and not the stop time, then those extra 11 miles that are added on that they found after they towed this vehicle, and keep in mind these 11 miles didn't get, it wasn't towed, it was put on a flatbed, so the wheels weren't spinning, they couldn't spin anyway. So there was no mileage that could have just been accidentally put on. And long story short, it raises some major red flags and points towards, foul play, which I think the father leans a lot more towards foul play. And I promise you guys, this data, and again, it's a lot, and I'm trying to put it in a form where, it's digestible to everybody, but it will be something we try to do Friday or Saturday. And if it turns out to be a good show, like a lot of people tune in, Hopefully we'll do a secondary show where we get into how he was hired and how the whole thing with how, like, what his job was and what they were out there to do was try to get the water levels. Basically, they were trying to build more housing development, right? But the issue with Arizona was that there just wasn't enough water level. They had to prove that there was enough water level for 100 years to sustain a certain amount of community that they're going to build. So obviously, if they go out there and they find data that says, hey, no, this doesn't look good. No, you don't have enough water to sustain this new community you want to build. Well, that makes a lot of people unhappy. You know, some people that's wallets obviously aren't going to get filled because, you know, all these building plans that money is going to go into all these different pockets now are not going to happen. So there is rumors that that Daniel could have came across something and he was kind of like the fall guy. It is very interesting. And if we get into the second part, maybe I could, you know, and I don't want to call her out, but maybe Carolyn from Unearthed Secrets, if she has time, because I know she's super busy, she would be able to explain those kind of details a lot better if we get into part 2. But I promise you, part 1 will set the stage for some very interesting stuff. Yes, 11 miles after the alleged crash. That's why, again, it's very interesting. I was blown away. So I want to keep that kind of, I'm going to keep mentioning this in my lives, but for the mods, I am going to continue to do lives each day because, you know, I'm trying to make up for, you know, missing, you know, all those months. And at the beginning of August, I took like a week off because I quit smoking, which again has also probably helped with, you know, my health being, you know, I'm feeling a lot better again. I can't say that tomorrow all of a sudden, you know, my stomach issues come back, but I'll be honest, my stomach issues have not been like they have when they were in May, June, and July. Especially May and June, they were really bad. So, and I've changed my diet. So I'm hoping, you know, with better eating, quit smoking and stuff like that, that has helped me. Okay. I'm getting a bunch of messages, so sorry. Sandra, thank you so much for the $20 super Venmo, I think it is. I'm sorry. Keep in mind, sometimes I don't get them because my phone's stupid, but thank you. And of course, if I miss somebody, and if you did donate via the GoFundMe, which I'll put one more time in there, of course, I will shout you out. And I think I can personally thank you on GoFundMe. But good to see you, Geneva, Ruru. Yeah, not been very nice, Daniel's dad. Yeah, I promise you guys, this will be a very interesting show, and I've got somebody behind the scenes who should just as get as much credit, if not more, than me, for putting this whole thing together. But he, you know, doesn't really have the platform, and he's seen how I do things, and I've been the lucky guy to take the data that he's done and present it. And I promise you, I think it's going to be an interesting show, really interesting. And it could eventually lead to an interview with the father. I don't want to jump ahead, but again, it's interesting. Yeah, thank you, me and you. Yeah, I think it's notification bell, and I think I did get it, Sassy. Thank you so much, sweetheart. God bless you. But yeah, with the notifications with YouTube, it sounds like, yeah, you have to like watch their videos or lives or whatever in a certain amount of time, you know, back to back, to continue to get notifications. That's what I've heard. That's the rumor. I think people are still trying to figure out the minutia of it. So, but if Daniel is going live, I don't know if he is. Does anybody know in chat? Because clearly he has, you know, some contacts clearly Daniel, Martell, and Janie, but it doesn't sound like anything. Let me do one more search just to see. I'm assuming if, like, let's say if they found the cadaver dogs did find something, I'm assuming we probably wouldn't hear anything for, I'm sure they would probably do like a press conference, and all that, and that would probably take a bit. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, but again, they are out there as we speak. I don't know how many days they plan to be out there, but it sounds like they are checking the main, the blanket where the boot print was found, the home, and maybe some other spots. And I do hope if they are out there that they do find them. But let me just look at chat for a minute. Rua says, I always thought foul play. Yeah. I mean, the fact that you've always kind of had the parents really Daniel pointing the finger at the mother. You would think they'd be on both sides, supporting each other. The fact that the mother left, again, if it was between Daniel and mother, I would lean more towards the mother, not going to lie. Sasha says, I don't believe it's a decoy. Oh, yeah, I know some people are thinking like the beach. Oh, yeah, if you couldn't figure out GoFundMe, yeah, PayPal, Venmo, that works as well. Oh, I didn't see Daniel in here from the DT show. Didn't the RCMP doc state more than one, though? Oh, do you know what he's referring to? I'm sorry, I missed DT while I was ranting and raving. Maybe he's talking about the dogs? Oh, does anybody know what he was talking about? Oh, that sucks that I missed him. Damn it. It's tough because I've got quite a few people in here. This is probably when I was ranting and raving and begging for when I was grifting. Oh, there's Sirius Black. Hey, good to see you, Sirius Black. Hope you're doing well. Dang it, I wonder what he was talking about. Shoot. I don't think it would have been about the dogs, because obviously he knows about the dogs. I wonder what that was about. Didn't the RCP doc state more than one, though? Not sure what he meant. Dang, I wish I would have seen that. Daniel, if you're in here, I don't know if you could pop that up one more time before we leave, but I'd understand. He may be preparing a show, so that sucks. But so he's starting in a minute. All right, yeah. So I'll finish up. Let's give Daniel a shout out. Now keep in mind Daniel's on a different theory that he believes there isn't foul play. And I don't think it hurts to look at all angles. And again, keep in mind he's former law enforcement. And okay, so this is the show. So I'll put this in chat. If you want to go check him out. Again, it's great insight, and in my opinion, it's good to hear the other side of the argument. So if you'd like to go check him out, there's the link in the chat. If you do, Mob Chris says hi. And I do love listening to him and hearing his side of things. Oh, he's talking about the dogs. Okay. Yeah, I would think if anybody, he would know. I'm kind of just going off what he was saying. But I'm sure we'll learn more as time goes on, like how many dogs. I'm sure they'll probably do a press conference. whether they find something or not, I think they would. DT said Daniel told him the blanket was 1x3. I wonder if he has that picture that we have. Unless that picture is fabricated, which, I mean, it looks pretty real. Not going to lie. I mean, I think if you were going to fabricate something, you could do a lot better. But, you know. But anyway, I want to shout out my mods and Jazz, D, Jocelyn. I think I saw Jocelyn here. Sensei, Jennifer, and of course I always forget someone. Michelle. I think I saw her in here as well. And of course my wonderful members support the channel, my patrons, and then of course to everybody taking the time out of their day to watch the show. OG me. Oh, that's what it was. For some reason it doubled up as NJazz. Thank you, me, for the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. God bless. That is so generous of you guys. All right, guys. I'm going to leave it there. Go check out DT if you'd like. Again, he's always got something interesting. Sounds like he's waiting for me to get off. So I'm going to head out. We will eventually get back into pet outros and stuff like that. There's so much that I need to, I'm slowly getting back up there, guys. And again, thank you to everybody for the love and support.